Welcome to my program, Bashy's Corner. We are specialists in taking issues which mainstream media doesn't want or doesn't care. And when our viewers will hear to our guest today, then they will know why I said that. Long time ago, the source of information was radio, TV, newspaper, and by the time now we heard the news, so it is internet, it is SMS, it is Facebook, Twitter. So the change of information and the mode of information has changed a lot. But the downside of all this information flow is that everybody today is a journalist. You can write whatever you like, you can make a Facebook page, you can make a blog, you can make a website, and then can use information. As we all know, in America, during the Mr. Trump election campaign, there were many fake news, and people were using those fake news as true news. But there are also some very passionate people who spend a lot of time to build bridges, to give good news to the Danish society. And my guest today is Dahl Jensen. I have known Dahl since many years when he was working on Christian Bale, and I have always admired his professionalism, clarity, and vision. Thank you for coming to our program. I'm very honored that you took time to come here. Dahl, when I look around the Danish journalistic world and political landscape, I see lots of populism and anti-Islam rhetoric. You know, there are articles, people say things. But when I met you, the situation was not that bad. What happened?
Yes. Thank you, first of all, for inviting me. I'm very honored to be your guest. And yes, when we met, I think it was in the middle of the 90s.
Yes.
And at that time, we saw refugees coming to Denmark in thousands, especially from the Balkan countries, because of the civil war and the ethnic cleansing that's going on there. But also we had some discussions among the politicians and in the population, but it was not in that harsh and climate that we see today. And I think that one of the reasons is that it was the number was not so big as it is today of refugees coming to Denmark, and also I think that the society was more open-minded at that time, and the refugees were coming. They came from former communist countries, and we had also up during the 60s and the 70s had some refugees coming from the Soviet Union and other communist countries. So I think that make a difference.
But the number was not very great.
No, but I think that compared that in the 90s, there came about 90,000 from the Balkan countries, I think. And then other groups came from Iraq, Iran, and so on. And when we look at the population of refugees and immigrants, it has grown and grown and grown. And I also think that in the 70s, there were not very much unemployment, and there were different reasons.
So it's the number and economic and socio-economical situation.
That's some, yes, and of course also the political climate has changed, because I think some of the, not all, but some of the political parties, they use this situation to try to get support from some part of the population, which perhaps not in very much contact with the refugees and immigrants, but they have been scared from reports in the media, and some politicians also draw a very negative picture of immigrants.
But Dahl, I remember when you were working in Christian Bale, you were always very professional and you stuck to the facts.
Thank you.
Was it because of you personally, or was it the editorial policy of the newspaper?
I think it was both. Because it was a serious daily paper, and I'd like to work there. And also I have learned during my education that there will always be at least two sides of a case, and often there will be more. And also I think it's important to base your news on facts, not on rumors. And if you have some opinions yourself, then you have to put that in a blog or beside the news. The news has to be based on facts, not in rumors and
So
feelings.
this clarity and passion I felt when I read your article, where did it come from?
Yes, that's a good question. I think that's something I learned to try to be professional, and also I think that if you have to treat people in a righteous way, then you have to be fair and not to paint false pictures of them.
As I understand, you are a very deeply religious person, right?
Yeah.
And could it be that your Christian upbringing and your righteousness has played a part in that?
In one way, I think I grew up in a small village with my parents and a brother, and my home was not a very religious home, in fact. We were not going to church very often, but my father taught me to pray the Lord's Prayer. And I know also that my mother was praying for me and my brother when we were young people.
Okay.
And I think when I was in the beginning of my 20s, I got into deeper search for a deeper meaning of my life, because in one way I thought life was empty. And during that search, during some weeks, months, I became more deeper faith in God, and also became a more active follower of Jesus Christ. And that's, I think, I can't separate that part from the rest of my life.
But that's wonderful that
yes.
it affected you in a very positive way.
Yes.
How did you become a journalist? Was it, you went into that direction?
Already when I was about 10, 12 years ago, a year old, I think I wanted to be a journalist.
Okay.
But then I got some other thoughts and interests. But when I had to, after high school, had to make a decision, then it became journalist. And I think I have always been very interested in politics and society, and wanted to build a better world, a better society.
And communicate.
Yeah. And I think that I have also been political active.
Okay.
But and I saw also some of the negative sides of the political system. So I think it's better to be a journalist.
When did you join Christian Daily?
It was back in '94.
Okay. Oh.
Yes.
It was just almost the same time when we met.
Yeah, because in the beginning we were not so many journalists, but one of the areas I had to cover was refugees, immigration, also different social areas, social politics and so on. Okay. So that was one of the reasons that we got in contact, I think.
Okay. When I met you recently, you have moved from print media to internet. Any special reason for that?
Yes, as you said in the beginning, in the introduction, that very much of information and communication today has moved from printed papers to the internet. And it gave me the possibility to have this online news service, Coexistence, or in Danish Immigrants. That would not be possible for me if I had to make a printed paper, because it's more expensive to have a printed press. It's quite cheap to build a website and have news published in that way.
And as a chief editor, you can say what you like.
Yes, that's one of the things. And also, I always can get online. I can update my news. I can publish news whenever I want to.
Do you do many times in a daytime?
It depends, because I also have other jobs, because I have to get some finance to run the website.
Okay.
So if I had the full time at the website, I would make different things every day.
So your website is called Coexistence.
Yes.
Okay. Coexistence between whom?
Yes. The main aim is coexistence across ethnical, cultural and religious diversities amongst people.
Okay.
So I think it's also our focus is about the 12% of the population in Denmark who come from other countries, have other cultural background and perhaps also other belief and religions, to build bridges to the majority of the Danish society.
But when I read your internet newspaper, most of the article you cover about ethnic minorities, refugees, Islam and Muslims. Why only cover those issues?
Yes, it has changed a little bit during the years, and I agree that for the last half year, I think there have been many articles about Muslims and Islam. It's not because we write about religion as such, but if you look at the Danish society today, also you will find some hate crimes, and many of the hate crimes which is religious motivated is against Muslims. There will also be some about against Jews and a few against Christians. But I think that, and also in the media today, not all media, but some part of the media, you will find
focus on Islam.
Yeah, and quite many negative articles about Islam, about criminality, terrorism, and so on. And you will just find a few articles in which give a positive view on Muslims. So that's one of the reasons we write quite much about Muslims. But also we try to make the other side, to have some articles about the success, where the integration are succeeds. People are making success in the Danish society. About the dialogue between Christians, Jews, Muslims and people from other religious background, because I think it's important that we learn each other to know, and because a better understanding will also, I think, I hope, create a better atmosphere for living peaceful together.
So it is almost the same what we are doing, actually.
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Would you also write about other communities like Hindus, Jewish,
Yes.
Buddhists, because many of them maybe they will also suffer hate crimes?
Yes. If we learn about it, we will. We have already had some articles about Jews because they also often are offended in the society. And I can tell you that one of the most read articles last year, in 2016, was about a couple. The man is atheist from Denmark, and the woman are Hindu from Sri Lanka.
Oh.
And they make a couple and trying to, and they talked about the difficulties or living together and difficulties with the family to understand that cross-culture mix and so on. And it was one of the most read articles last year, and we also want to publish that kind of articles because I think that can help other people to understand what can be difficult in such a relationship, and also what can be the advantage, perhaps.
So when you write about coexistence, it's not only on religious level, it's also socio-economical, it's cultural, political. So you also focus on those issues, how minorities have?
Yes, we also try to focus on political and social, economically. For example, some months ago we had some articles about what's called the integration ydelse, because many people have been poor because they have less money to use in their daily life.
Yes.
So that's one of the economically reasons that it can be hard for minorities and also some Danish people.
Yeah, there are many poor Danes also.
Yeah.
Well, it's not a secret that Islam and Muslims take a lot of space in the society, in the discussion, in the newspaper, in the television. But it's not only in Denmark, it's all over the Western world.
Yes.
So what do you think, why there is so much focus on that?
I think there will be several reasons. I think one of the reasons are that some politicians, but not all, but some, especially on the right wing, they will use Muslims and use the negative stories about Muslims to win voters in the Danish societies and perhaps also in other European countries. And I think often they will not have very much contact with Muslims. Or
many of them have never met them.
Yeah, so it's easy to get those wrong pictures. And that's how I think, and why I think it's important to try to bring some other pictures, so you can make a more balanced picture in the media about Muslims.
As a journalist, I know that you have a very keen observation. You know what is happening in the society and the changes is coming. So if I ask you, what role do you think the media and the politicians they play in damaging the intercultural relation? Because there's a lot of damage now.
Yes, you're right. I think in some of the way the media are reflecting what's going on in the political environment and what's going on in the society in general. And if you look at the politicians, some are very strongly against immigration, some are in favor of immigrants and refugees, and then you will find some in the somewhere in between. But if you look at the right wing, also politicians are very, they often will take bad stories from the Muslim society and bring it up in the media, and they will perhaps also take it into the parliament and so on. And in that way, it got a lot of focus in the media. And in that way, both the politicians and what's reflected through the media will create that damaging picture of them.
One thing, Bent, I really miss is that most of the time the journalists do not ask politicians a strong question. I give an example. Søren Espersen, he was asked on television, and I think TV2, what he thinks about this ban, Muslim ban in America. And you know what he said? He said, yeah, but Israelis can also not visit those 7 countries. But the journalist didn't ask, there is no connection between Israelis coming to those countries and they not being allowed in America. So why do the journalists, why are they so afraid to ask this kind of critical questions?
It's a good question, because I think that many journalists has got less critical during the last 10, 15, perhaps 20 years.
But it's their job to be critical.
Yes, it is. But I think that some parties, and amongst them Danish People's Party, had been very active in criticizing journalists. And I think that in some way they have been afraid. So I have also been looking at television news, and a journalist asking a politician a question, she don't answer, and he ask again, he don't ask. And then after the 3rd time, he said, "Thank you for coming." And
that's it.
Yes, that's it. So I think that the media in general has to become more critical to the politicians.
You wrote recently a very interesting article in your magazine under the title, "Muslims play only a secondary role, but politicians and experts are the main source of media picture about Islam." Is it true?
It is. I made a big research during 2016.
You made a survey?
Yeah, in one way, I analyzed 307 articles from newspapers, 7 newspapers on their websites. And I analyzed 10 days in March, 10 days in June, 10 days in September, and 10 days in the beginning of December.
Okay.
And I searched for the word Muslim and the word Islam on those websites, and got 307 news stories in the 7 newspapers. Okay. And I went into and analyzed. I saw who are the sources, what people, what organizations are they written about, and what issues are they about. And when I came to the sources, I found that 26% of the sources were politicians, and about 19 and 21% of the sources were Muslims. Depends what kind of articles you look at. So I think it gives a very clear picture that politicians are the main source for many articles about Islam and Muslims in Denmark. And I think that's a problem, because that don't give a balanced true picture.
Danish People Party, they has put forward a proposal now that would forbid building of minarets on the mosques.
Yes.
And you ask a question which is very interesting. Is discrimination and violation of religious freedom Danish values?
Yes. It was a polemic remark on my blog.
Yes.
And I made it because very often you will see Danish People's Party use the term Danish Values.
Yes.
And often they will not explain precisely what it does mean.
Yeah.
So, but in the same time, often you will also see that Danish People's Party are claiming that refugees, immigrants, has to follow the Danish rules, have to be democratic people and so on. And when I look at the proposal from the Danish People's Party, it's a clear discrimination and a violation of the freedom of religion and belief. And then I ask, is that going to be Danish values? Because it's against democracy, it's against the fundament of our democracy in Denmark. So that's the polemic.
Did you get any response from them?
Not yet.
Every year, United Nations has a week for Interfaith Week of Harmony, from 1st to 7th February. So your magazine is going to cover that too?
We will. And this year there will be 12 arrangements in Copenhagen in the Harmony Interfaith Week.
Okay.
There will be some open house in mosques. There will be some dialogue program. There will be some programs in churches and different things. I'll not cover all, but some of the
focus will be there.
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of activities you're talking about? You will also support them because you work on that. I remember that during refugee crisis last year, many politicians, journalists, and experts were very negative towards Syrian asylum seekers. But when many NGO groups, people, civil society, on the other hand, they were most helpful. So can we see that there is a difference between what politicians say and do and what Danish people do?
Yes, I think we see a gap, and perhaps the gap will become bigger and bigger. I think that what happened last year, 1.5 years ago, was that during the last many years there have been a lot of tightening of the rules on immigrations for coming to Denmark. It has been more difficult to become to have a Danish citizenship. It has been more difficult to get asylum in Denmark, and so on. And I think that to some people and to a lot of people, they said now it's enough, it's too much. So we want to help those people. Perhaps it also was a kind of reaction that I thought that the politicians should have taken more responsibility in that situation, but they did nearly nothing. they were discussing how few can we take to Denmark instead of helping people.
It's always numbers.
Yeah.
Coming back to your magazine, can people send articles or contribute to Coexistence? Or is only you who write?
They can send mails with ideas and so on,
Okay.
and also if they want to do something, contact us, because then we will get into contact. But we don't have an open debate.
Okay.
We had some years ago, but at that time it was misused of some who tried to use the comment form to get some kind of hatred and other things. So we stopped that. So at the moment we just have our editorial articles and we have some blogs.
My last question is, if you have this crystal ball and you can look in the future in Denmark, less than 20 years,
yes.
What kind of societies you will see?
Yes, thank you for giving me the difficult question at last. It's difficult. I can't see in the future, but I hope that we will have a society with more cooperation, a better coexistence, peaceful coexistence between people of different cultural, ethnical, religious and other difficult backgrounds. That's my hope, and I hope that we all together can build a better world and give a better world to the next generation.
Thank you very much for those beautiful words. And I would also say to my viewers that I'm sure that they can send some good ideas to Coexistence and have listened to what Ben said. Until next time, take good care of yourself.